Welcome to this edition of Ethical Sustainable Investment News and Analysis to Profit By. I'm Ron Robbins, an ethical investing pioneer for over 40 years, quoted in the Wall Street Journal, MarketWatch, the Globe and Mail, and numerous other media, and founder of the highly respected global ethical sustainable investing information website, Investing for the Soul. And please listen to my disclaimer statement at the end of this podcast. Now enjoy this podcast. Hello, Ron Robbins here. Welcome to podcast episode 56, published on April 23rd, titled Alternative Energy Picks and Surprises Plus, and presented by investingforthesoul.com. Investingforthesoul.com is your site for vital global ethical and sustainable investing news, commentary, information, and resources. Remember that you can find a full transcript, links to content, including stock symbols, quotes, and bonus material at this episode's podcast page located at investingforthesoul.com/podcasts, and Google any terms that are unfamiliar to you. In this podcast, we return to alternative energy picks. The first article is titled 3 Alternative Energy Stocks Defying Industry Challenges. It's by Zacks analyst Aparita Dutta and is on the Zacks site. As usual, I'll mention the company name followed by select quotes from Ms. Dutta. 1. Equinor, based in Stavanger, Norway, is one of the premier integrated energy companies in the world. The company is investing actively in renewable energy projects comprising power generation from solar and wind energy. The company currently holds a Zacks rank number 2 by 2. Covanta Holdings, based in Morristown, New Jersey. Covanta offers waste and energy solution to its customers by processing the waste and generating energy out of it. The company delivered an average earnings surprise of 267.9% in the last 4 quarters. The company currently holds a Zacks rank number 2. 3. Evergy, based in Kansas, Missouri. Evergy provides clean, safe and reliable energy to 1.6 million customers in Kansas and Missouri. It is home to the largest electric vehicle charging network in the United States and has one of the top 10 wind portfolios of electric utilities in the country. The company currently carries a Zacks rank number 3, which is a hold. End quotes. Continuing on the theme of alternative energy is top penny stocks to buy now, with a big question mark. 4. Alternative energy stocks to watch, by D. Marie. The author isn't giving outright buy recommendations, but has stocks to look at. Each stock offers different perspectives on what you might consider being in the speculative alternative energy space. The article is on pennystocks.com. Again, I'll mention the company, followed by a few quotes by the author on each company. Now, before I begin, some might want to skip the first one, as it involves uranium mining. 1. Denison Mines Corp. Denison is a uranium exploration and development company. Its main project is the Wheeler River Uranium Project, located in the Athabasca Basin region in Saskatchewan. its stock price has nearly tripled in the last 6 months. 2. Ocean Power Technologies. This company specializes in the development and commercialization of renewable electricity generating systems using ocean waves. 3. Torchlight Energy Resources, Inc. Energy Resources was an oil and gas company. However, it is now working towards meeting regulations to consummate its previously announced business combination with Metamaterial Inc. It develops high-performance materials and nanocomposite products used in things like solar energy and auto applications. 4. SunHydrogen Inc. The final energy penny stock to watch just saw a massive price increase. SunHydrogen is a solar technology company based in California. It is developing solar-powered nanoparticle systems to act as photosynthesis to separate hydrogen from water. End quotes. In this next article, I return to ESG ETF recommendations. These are from 2 analysts, Paulina Lycos and Matt Whitaker, who wrote an article titled 7 Best Socially Responsible Funds. It was on the Yahoo Finance site. Again, I'll first mention the fund's name, followed by quotes from the authors concerning that particular fund. Quote 1. Vanguard ESG US Stock ETF. According to Vanguard, this ETF excludes stocks of certain companies that don't meet standards of UN Global Compact principles and companies that don't meet certain diversity criteria. Stefano Safei, Managing Director of Investments at Wedbush Securities, highlights A. Low expense ratio, and B. Impressive performance as attractive features for investors. 2. 1919 Socially Responsible Balanced Fund. Some of the fund's criteria include excluding companies that have significant direct exposure to fossil fuel real assets, investing in companies with fair employment practices, and seeking assets that have respect for human rights. 3. Fidelity International Sustainability Index Fund. Most of its securities are a part of the MSCI ACWI ex USA ESG Index, a capitalization-weighted index that offers investors exposure to large and mid-cap companies in developed and emerging markets with high ESG performance. 4. Fidelity Sustainability Bond Index Fund. This Fidelity Fund follows the Bloomberg Barclays MSCI US Aggregate ESG Choice Bond Index, which includes investment-grade debt securities. 5. Calvert US Large Cap Core Responsible Index Fund. According to the fund's fact sheet, its holdings had 88% lower fossil fuel reserves, 100% lower tobacco exposure, and 83% lower toxic emissions than the Russell 1000. 6. The SPDR, that's SPDR S&P 500 Fossil Fuel Reserves Free ETF. The fund, made up of large-cap U.S. equities, tracks the performance of the S&P 500 Fossil Fuel Free Index. 7. Shelton Green Alpha Fund seeks environmentally conscious companies that have demonstrated their ability to manage environmental risk and have above-average growth potential. End quotes. infrastructure continues to gain interest from ethical and sustainable investors. So I've got one more article here. It's titled 10 Best Stocks That Will Gain from Biden's Job and Infrastructure Plan. It's by Usman Kabir and appeared on Yahoo Finance. So I'll mention the stock and follow it with a few select quotes from Mr. Kabir. Quote, starting with number 10, which is Cleveland Cliffs, Inc., is an Ohio-based company in the mining and steelmaking business and the largest steelmaker in the country. 9. Quanta Services, Inc. Quanta Services, Inc. is a Houston-based company that provides infrastructure services for communication industries, electric power companies, and pipeline projects. It is one of the key players in the American market that focuses on modernization of the electrical grid using renewable energy. 8. Vulcan Materials Company. In the U.S., the firm is the largest producer of construction aggregates, namely gravel, crushed stone, sand, and concrete. 7. American Tower Corporation REIT. American Tower Corporation REIT is a Boston-based real estate investment trust that owns and operates mobile phone towers across the world. American Jobs Plan envisions spending more than $100 billion to widen the high-speed broadband nest in the country. 6. Applied Materials, Inc. Applied Materials, Inc. is a California-based firm that supplies equipment, services, and software for the manufacturing of semiconductor chips. As broadband occupies a top priority in the American Jobs Plan, the digital acceleration of the economy from high-speed internet is expected to drive the demand for these chips. 5. American Electric Power Company, Inc. American Electric Power Company, Inc. is an Ohio-based electric company meeting the electrical needs of millions of American citizens in more than 10 states across the country. President Joe Biden has marked $100 billion to modernize the American electrical infrastructure. 4. Union Pacific Corporation is a Nebraska-based railroad holding company. It is one of the largest rail providers in the western U.S., posting strong profits that it expects to grow by 31% over the next 2 years. 3. Evoqua Water Technologies Corp. The firm offers capital systems and related recurring services for treating industrial process water, utility water, and wastewater. It also makes products that filter and separate clean and dirty water. Since the American Jobs Plan envisions the provision of clean water to every American household, the firm could benefit from it. 2. Activision Blizzard, Inc. is one of the largest game companies in North America and Europe. U.S. President Biden has pushed for increased access to high-speed broadband across the country. The COVID-19 pandemic pushed the stock of the firm higher owing to increased video game demand. And 1. AECOM is a California-based American engineering firm. Since infrastructure spending forms the biggest chunk of the American Jobs Plan, the firm will stand to gain a lot from the multitude of new projects that will be initiated by the U.S. government. It also operates an environmental and risk management department for big projects. Now a quick piece of interesting news titled BlackRock launches 2 carbon transitions ETFs, LCTU and LCTD. It's by Aaron Neuwirth, published on ETFtrends.com. Quote, the BlackRock US Carbon Transition Readiness ETF, LCTU, and the BlackRock World X US Carbon Transition Readiness ETF, LCTD, invest in large and mid-cap companies. The two funds raised more than $1.5 billion. The day one investments into the BlackRock US Carbon Transition Readiness ETF make it the largest ETF launch ever. End quotes. Well, these are my top news stories with their stock and fund tips for this podcast. Alternative energy picks and surprises. Plus, to get all the links, stock symbols, or to read the transcript of this podcast and more, go to investingforthesoul.com/podcasts and scroll down to this episode. Also, be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons in iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you download or listen to this podcast. And please click the share buttons to share this podcast with your friends and family. Let's promote a better post-COVID world through ethical and sustainable investing. Contact me if you have any questions. Stay well and healthy and conscious about the ethical and sustainable values of your investments. Thank you for listening. Talk to you next on May 7th. Bye for now. Learn how to create a simple portfolio reflecting your personal values by taking my 1-hour tutorial. Go to investingforthesoul.com/podcasts and click the link in the right-hand column for my DIY Ethical Sustainable Investing Pays tutorial. Now, I'll mention in the podcast if I have any direct interest or holdings in companies or securities I'm talking about. Furthermore, any news, opinions, analysis, or other information offered by myself, as well as references and information to or from other external sources in this podcast, is provided as general market information and should not be relied upon and thus does not constitute investment advice. Investors should consult their own licensed investment professional before making investments. Also, I will not accept liability for any loss or damage, including without limitation any loss of profit, which may arise directly or indirectly from use of or reliance on information in this podcast. Do contact me at ronr@investingforthesoul.com. Signing off, this is Ron Robbins.